سلام تخطاتلتي مربب إريتراويان سمويات عنا أمول عالم التركبو إذا أبو ورحي حدا جزء بزتفلاليو كإلاتات عنا زوها بروجرام إيو إذا خا إريتراويان بزعبا قدايت عنهم أفلتهم نمسفح إيو لومون كم تمدبنا بزعبا أوتيزم حافشاوي أفلتو كلونا دكتور هالي and سوسنا ناي PhD candidate عديمنا لنا EHPN مربب إريتراويان سمويات عنا مخسب ألبو زخون organization كوينو كابناي هايمانوتن ناي politikan شارنت زيبولو organization مو حالي نعخ خبكي you can introduce yourself.
All right. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. Hi, everyone. I am Holly Bream. Thank you so much for having me. Susina, are you interpreting along the way, or are you just waiting till each slide?
I will do along the way. So do you want your introduction or you want me to go ahead?
I can do it, yeah. So I'm Holly. Thank you so much for having me. This topic is so close and dear to my heart, and I'm so excited to share all about autism. The content of this presentation will be cited in a reference list at the end as well, so you guys have it.
Okay, أنا ليس لزعدمكم نيش مي هاليو. ناتا interpret قبل. Okay, so I guess بناتي في جمرتا شمي سوسناي. ب psychology bachelor master نالني هجها تمهاري PhD إزله. أب ABA من خواب حمشت عام تاريخي. مس هالي actually مسارح تينا ما حزايونيا. لو ما عنتين هالي interpret و translate قبل لاي كترجم لاي. هجي هالي انتي لهنا شمي هالي سلازا عدهم كومنية مسكنكم بزعبا آتزم قرب كزاربي كل الزاربوها مودعتا كم reference listed كوين اللو إلا تنمو. You can go ahead.
Okay, so a little bit about me. I started my journey working with children in about 2012. I started volunteering at the Special Olympics, and that made me realize that this was the population I wanted to work with. So I started out as a teacher, and then I continued my education at Vanderbilt University to obtain a master's degree in special education and applied behavior analysis. Shortly after, I started working as a board certified behavior analyst with children with autism. The company I work for is Butterfly Effects, and I practiced in California, and now I'm in the state of Virginia. So I've seen hundreds of unique individuals with autism through a professional setting.
مجمرتا سرحي مس كم ممهر نابز السرح كم يجرك كم يجرك Oh, is it echoing for you guys? Okay. So كم يجرا نابز السرح كم زعتوتي هتقلت أنيحة مجمرتا كم ممهر جميرة عب Special Olympics بهالبوتا volunteer تقبرنيرا شو Vanderbilt University تمرتي ودي عمالتي وناي ماسترز كرا بدحريو butterfly effect زبحال كم board certified behavior analysis سريحة so بزحات autism زلو هتانات ريال لامالت.
So what is autism spectrum disorder? It is a developmental condition that causes challenges across the domains of socialization, communication, and behavior.
Autism انتايو autism ab كله مدات إذا صعب بدهوتات كصعب زخيل سنكلنا أو conditionيو ab محبراوي متأخخا حسب ملوات وي ab طبعا ملكت كاكل ويفل.
So why is it a spectrum disorder? Autism is considered a spectrum disorder because no one person with autism looks the same. It ranges from high functioning autism to severe autism. On one end of the spectrum, some people may need some support across the domains of socialization, communication, and behavior. On the other end of the spectrum, individuals may need very substantial support across the following domains.
ስለምንታይ ስፔክትራም ዲስኦርደር ተባሂሉ ይፅዋዕ እቲ ዝተፈላለዩ ደረጃታት ስለ ዘለዎ እዩ ኣብ ቀዳማይ ደረጃ ዘለዉ ሃይ ፋንክሽንን ኮይኖም ቁሩብ ሓገዝ ዘድልዮም ኣብ ካልኣይ ደረጃ ዝተወሰነ ሓገዝ ዘድልዮም ኣብ ሳልሳይ ደረጃ ከዓ ብዙሕ ሓገዝ ዘድልዮም ስለ
So what does autism look like? People with autism may not look different. Their physical features are the same as ours. Some people with autism may be able to have extensive conversations, while others may be nonverbal, meaning that they cannot speak. In addition, some people with autism need assistance in their daily lives, and other people may need little to no support.
كلهم autism ዘለዎም ሰባት ወይ ቆልዑት ሕደ ኣይመስሉን እዮም ኣብ መልክዖምን ዝኾነ ዝተፈለየ ነገር ኣይትርእን ኢኻ እቲ ፍልሊ ኣብ ናቶም ኣዘራርባ ወይ ኣረኻኽባ ምስ ሰባት ወይ እውን ክኾን ይኽእል እዩ እንደገና ከዓኒ ገሊኦም ሓገዝ የድልዮም ኣብ ሂወቶም ኢንዲፔንደንት ኮይኖም ፋንክሽን ክገብሩ ገሊኦም ከዓኒ ሓገዝ ከየድልዮም independent ኮይኖም ክነብሩ ይኽእሉ
So what causes autism? This is a burning question in our field. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, autism spectrum disorder is a developmental condition caused by differences in the brain. Some people with autism have known differences, such as a genetic condition. Other causes may not be known yet. So scientists believe there are multiple things that contribute to autism. We still have a lot to learn about the causes and how it impacts people.
እቲ ጠንቂ ናይ autism እንታይ እዩ ክሳብ ሕጂ ዝኾነ ፍሉጥ ነገር የለን ግን genetic condition ከም ዝኾነ እቲ CDC ይዛረብ እዩ ተመራመርቲ ክሳብ ሕጂ እንታይ እዩ እቲ ጠንቂ ይመራመሩሉ እዮም ዘለዉ ሓደ ካብቲ ዝጠቐስዎ ግን genetic disorder እዩ ካልእ ካዝ ከም ዝህልዎ like ወይ ተወሳኺ ክህልዎ ከዓኒ ይኽእል
So what is the prevalence of autism? It was reported by the CDC that 1 in 36 children are identified with autism spectrum disorder. It is more common in males versus females, and it is found across all racial, ethnic, and social economic groups.
እቲ እንታይ autism እንታይ ልምደት ወይ as prevalence ኣለዎ ካብ 36 ሓደ ቆልዓ autism ኣለዎ መብዛሕትኡ ግዜ ኸ ኣብ ደቂ ተባዕትዮ እዩ ዝርአ autism ኣብ ኩሉ ዓሌትን ሕብረተሰብን ይርከብ
So this is a graph from the CDC website. They have collected data over the years about autism. And what this graph is showing is down at the bottom in 2020, about 6.7 children per 1,000 children were diagnosed with autism. Fast forward to 2020, about 26.7 children are diagnosed with autism out of 1,000 children. So this is almost a 4x increase over 20 years.
Wow. Okay, so is the graph prevalence ናይ autism ዘርኢ ካበይ ጀሚሩ ሕጂ ከዓ ዓብይ ኣሎ so the increase of the graph ክንሪኦ ንኽእል ኢና Hallie, can you repeat the numbers?
Yeah. So in 2000, 6.7 children were diagnosed out of 1,000. And in 2020, 26.7 children were diagnosed out of 1,000.
Okay. Just wanted to hear. You can continue.
Yeah. Awesome. So the prevalence increase over time is unknown. We're not really sure why we've had such a jump. It could be that the clinical definition of autism has been refined and more people are being diagnosed with autism. It could just be that we're better and we have a movement now to diagnose people. So people that were previously had autism were not diagnosed, and now they are.
ክሳብ ሕጂ ንምንታይ ኣብዚ recent years ብዙሕ diagnosis ናይ autism increase ገይሩ ኣይተፈለጠን ግን እቲ ናይ መርመራ ዝግበረሎም ናይ autism ኣብኡ ነፊዕና ክንከውን ንኽእል ኢና ወይ ከዓኒ ቅድሚ ሕጂ ኣይረአን ዝነበረ ሕጂ ሞር ይረአ ኣሎ I think to bottom point ዝበለቶ ግን ብዙሕ increase ገይሩሎ ካብቲ 2000s ክሳብ ሕጂ ማለት
So this graph is also from the CDC, and it shows that the prevalence is higher in boys versus girls. So for every one female that's diagnosed, about 4 male are identified with autism. Again, we don't really know why it's more in boys than girls. One hypothesis is that males show more outwardly signs and symptoms of autism, so they're easier to diagnose.
እዚኣ ግራፍ ከዓኒ prevalence ናይ ደቂ ተባዕትዮ እዩ ዘርኢ ካብ ሓደ ካብ you said every 4 in 5?
Yep, every 1 female, 4 males.
Okay, every 1 female to 4 males diagnosed ይኾኑ ምስ ካብ ደቂ ተባዕትዮን ካብ ደቂ ኣንስትዮን ንምንታይ ክሳብ ሕጂ ተፈለጠን ግን ደቂ ተባዕትዮ ሞር ብቐረባ ዝርአ characteristic ኣለዎም ካብ ደቂ ኣንስትዮ ማለት
So how do you get a diagnosis of autism? It's really difficult to diagnose because there are no medical tests or genetic tests that pinpoint autism. A doctor would need to observe an individual and ask questions about the individual to determine the diagnosis. It can be diagnosed as early as 18 months or earlier, but it's not likely that you'll have a final diagnosis until you're a little bit older.
autism كم زلو بخمي تفلتو كم زلكا بخمي تفلتو ساب 18 ورحي كفلت يخالي أب كساب قال يوم قلعو ويسوات كاب 18 ورحي ويكاو نتحتي كلو كفلت ويخلو يوم كم زلوم جن كساب أتأبي أم زعابيو كالتف كخرئي خلني حكايم كفلت وزخلو خاني زخون استوسن حتوتا سالو زحتو كابت مس نايت حتوتا تيم قاعد diagnose كبابروم زخلو I think قربنا حالي كسخلاها أني أيدوس زبهالا على assessment بهم وها كتفلت أو تخليها زهونة كاب حكايم وزعي زهونة organization ناتهم diagnose مقبري center علوم أبكم أو زهبو assessment خالو بهم وكتفلت أو تخليها جن كساب قرب زعابيو أي فلتني مجمرتي وجن كاب 18 ورحي زلوب أب أسكتري أو تخلي خاتم الكتاب
So what is the diagnostic criteria? The American Psychiatric Association, so the DSM-5, provides a standardized criteria. They say that a person is diagnosed if they have deficits in social communication and interactions and deficits of restrictive or repetitive behaviors.
እዚኦም American Psychiatric Association Diagnostic Statistical Manual DSM-5 ዝበሃል ማለት እዩ ኣብኡ ክራይቴሪያን ኣሎ ከመይ እቲ ክርአ ዘለዎ ምልክታት እቲ ዳያግኖስ ንኽወሃቡ ማለት እዩ ኣብ ማሕበራዊ መራኸብን ሕፅረት ክህሉ ከሎ ኣብተን 3 መዳያት ክልተ ወይ 4 ዓይነት ቀያዲ ተደጋገመ ጠባይ ተሎ እቲ ክራይቴሪያ ይወሃብ ማለት
So to give some examples, some deficits in social communication may be social emotional reciprocity. This means that they have abnormal social approach, maybe failure to have that back and forth conversation. They could have deficits in nonverbal communicative behaviors. So maybe lack of eye contact. They don't pick up on body language or understanding use of gestures, facial expressions. They may also have deficits in developing, maintaining, and understanding relationships. Remember, the diagnostic criteria included social communication and behaviors. So behavior may look like stereotypy or repetitive movements. Traditionally, you may see like hand flapping or rocking, lining up objects. They want insistence on sameness. They may have highly restricted or fixated interest, and they may have hyper or hypoactive sensory input.
Okay, قالوا كابتي كر أزلو ملكتات diagnose نخوانو أب محبراوي مرداء زلو حترت أب محبراوي سمعيتاوي ملاش زلو قلت بقاف زي محلالف حسب نايملوات بحري قلت ركبات أب ممعبالن أب مقربن مرداء نزلو قلت ወይ ሕፅረት እንደገና ከዓኒ ሓደ ዓይነት ወይ ተደጋጋሚ ምንቅስቃስ ሞተር ማለት እዩ ኣብ ዘረብኦም ሓደ ዓይነት ክኾን ይኽእል ኣብ ናቶም ናይ ኣካላት ምንቅስቃስ ሓደ ዓይነት ክኾን ይኽእል ኣብ ክበልዕዎ ዝደልዩ ኣብ ክገብርዎ ዝደልዩ ሓደ ዓይነት ኩሉ ነገር ሓደ ክኸውን ይደልዩ ማለት እዩ ወይ ሓደ ኮይኑ ትሪኦ
So remember, every kid develops differently. So if you see some of these deficits, you may not want to jump to conclusions. Symptoms do have to persist over time. They have to cause significant impairments in social, occupational, or other areas of functioning. And these deficits also should not be explained by any other medical condition.
كلهم autism زلهم هتعانت حدا عينت أواي وحدا عينت ملكت كلهم ما يكلني اتي زر ملكتات أب محبراوي سرح وي أب كالي أقداسي مرايات كأني زتفل عليه كوني هالي زتفل عليه خمس اللي خالي and اتي زلهم ملكتات أب خالي medical reason explain كوني يقولون like عندهن I don't know تكبلي كم زي ذهنا كال condition تلوم نصوص explain كجوري يقولون اتزرس ناي autism تراي كونا لو.
So when you get diagnosed, you also get a severity level. So the severity level could be 3, 2, or 1. 3 meaning you need very substantial support, 1 meaning you just require support.
كابتي زر ملكتات سلست level سلسته وي درجة سالساي درجة تلو بزح عجز يدليوم كال أي درجة تلو ما أكله حاجز يدليوم قدامي درجة خاني قرب support يدليوم.
Okay, what can you do to monitor your child? So to monitor your child, you should continue to do developmental monitoring and screenings. To monitor your child, look for developmental milestones. If you search the internet, the CDC website has a really good free checklist of milestones to help you track your child's progress. Your doctor will also do some screening tests at their regular visits.
ናይ ውላድካ ንውላድካ ንምቁፅፃር እንታይ ክትገብር ኣለካ ኣብ ዝኾነ ዶክተር ምስከድካ ምሽ ዝህቡካ ፓምፕሌት ኣሎ ማይልስቶን ኣብኡ ይፅሓፍ እዩ ሶ እቲ ቆልዓኻ ከም ዕድምኡ ማለት እዩ እንድሕን ሓደ ወርሒ ኣሎ ኣብ ሓደ ወርሒ እንታይ ከርኢ ኣሎ ሽዑ ምስቲ ወረቐት ተፃሒፉ ዘሎ ተረኣዮ ኦ ክሮል ይገብር ድዩ ወይ ይስሐቕ ድዩ ምስቲ ተፃሒፉ ዘሎ ከማሳሰል ክኽእል ኣሎ ብኸምኡ ቸክ ክትገብር ትኽእል ኢኻ ንዶክተር እውን ክትሓትት ትኽእል ኢኻ
What are early signs of autism? So some early signs could include poor eye contact, loss of skills at any time, no social smiling by 6 months, not showing items or sharing interest, not responding to sounds or voices or names. You would see there's some deficits in language, so no babbling or pointing by the age of 12 months. Maybe no one-word communication by 16 months, two-word communication by 24 months, and you may also see unusual attachment.
ናይ መጀመርታ ምልክታት ናይ autism እንታይ እዩ ኣብ poor eye contact ዓይን ዘይምርኣይ ማለት እዩ like ዓይንኻ ድሕን ዓይንኻ ዘይጥምታ ኮይኖም ኣብ ዝኾነ ግዜ ከዓኒ እቲ ዝነበሮም ስኪል ክጠፍእ ከሎ ኣብ 6 ወርሒ ክበፅሑ ከሎ እንድሕን ደይስትፍቁ ኮይኖም ነዲኦም ሪኦም ነቦኦም ሪኦም ዝኾነ ኢንትረስት ኣብ ሕብርታት ድዩ ኣብ መፃወቲ ተዘይብሎም ንዝኾነ ድምፂ ወይ ሽምናቶም ዘይምልሱ ተኮይኖም ኣብ 6 ወርሒ ከዓኒ ሓንቲ ቃል ክብሉ ተዘይክኢሎም ኣብ 12 ወርሒ ዝኾነ ባብሊን ገለ ምባል ኮምፒውተር ዘይብሉ ተኮይኖም ወይ ፖይንት ዘይገብሩ እንድሕን ኮይኖም ኣብ 24 ወርሒ ከዓኒ ክልተ ቃል ኣትሊስት ክጥቀሙ ተዘይተጠቂሞም ማለት እዩ ኣብ መወዳእታ ከዓኒ ዝኾነ ምስ ዘቦኦም ወይ ምስ ኣዲኦም ካብ ንቡር ወፃኢ attachment ተለዎም
So what can you do if you're concerned? Always talk to your doctor. Your doctor can do developmental screenings. They can also refer you to specialists such as developmental pediatricians, child neurologists, or a child psychologist.
ዝኾነ ሕቶታት ወይ ስክፍታታት ተለካ እንታይ ክገብር ትኽእል ንሓኪምካ ተዛረቦ እሶም ዝኾነ ስክሪኒንግ ናይ ማይልስቶን ድዩ ናይ ዲቨሎፕመንታል ስቴጅስ ክገብሩልካ ይኽእሉ እዮም so ዝኾነ ሕቶት ተለካ ወይ ኮንሰርን ተኮይንካ ስክፍታታት ተለካ ማለት እዩ ገለ ኖርማል ኣይኮነን like ዝኾነ ዝሪኦ ፍልይነት ኣሎ ተልኩም just talk to your doctor ተዛረቦም ንሓኪምኩም
Okay, what are the types of treatments for autism? So there could be many different types of treatments depending on the severity level of autism and the individual needs. So a few of the approaches are behavioral approach, developmental approach, educational approach, social, relational, pharmacological, psychological, or some other complementary alternative strategies.
autism እንታይ ዓይነት ሕክምና እዩ ዝግበረሉ ተልና types of treatment ላ ሊስት ገራቶላ ዓይነት ሕክምናታት ኣብ applied behavior analysis ብትግርኛ እንታይ ማለት ይፈልጦኒ ኣብ ጠባይት ኣብ ግብሪ ዝወዓለ ወይ developmental speech and language therapy I think كله ከም ዘለዎ እዩ ብትግርኛ ይትርጎም ይፈቅድ Elsa ወይ Dr. Elsa ወይ Dr. Aster so come on
Yeah, I think Holly, will you go through the applied behavioral analysis, what it's about? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we heard you. I think Holly is
So እቲ ፈውሲ ሓደ ንፈውሲ ንዕኡ ዝኸውን የለን ግን ተኣትብ ዘላ ኣብ ተፈላለየ ነቲ ፀገማት ዘለዎ ንምሳሌ ብቲ ናይ ጠባይ እንተደኣ ኮይኑ ናይ ቢሄቪየር ትብሎ ዘላ ንዕኡ ዝኸውን ነቲ ቢሄቪየር ንክመሓየሽ ዝገብርዎ ንሃቶም ንጥፈታት ኣሎ ፍልይ ዝበለ ነዚና ኣውቲዝም ዘለዎም ቆልዑት ማለት እዩ እቲ ዲቨሎፕመንታል ትብሎ ዘላ ከዓኒ ኣብ ናይ ቋንቋ ሽግር ዘለዎም ከዓ ንዕኡ ቴራፒ ኣሎ ናይ ቋንቋ ናይ ምዝራብ ኮነ እቲ كم ناي مرجدا إن كان هبا ناي زربا نسو كمهروم تخلولو بتناي educational كاني أب تمرتين عاتهم لك عبتي زلو تمرتي أب كلهم نقولوا قلعت زخدوا تمرتي ما بين عاتهم مستنهاتهم لو أي حاجة زي اليوم هون أو تفولي زبالة حاجة special education زبال أب تزلو تمرتس فولي زبالة دقف قبلنا ويمس ممهر كوينو تحقاقي زوه مرام زخل تيناي أفاوس كاني I don't think yeah we can hear you Holly. No, I was asking you to see if you're going to go through the applied behavior analysis in more detail.
I am, yes.
Okay. So I was just describing the categories. And then pharmacological, I don't know if you're going to go through the various medications that are available.
I will not go through the medications.
Okay.
I don't have much expertise in that area.
Okay. أفاوس نعود تزوهب نتمثالي ناي autism في اللاي فوسيا لن قلنا طبعي ناي مثالي كفوكس كسعولو زي خلو تخينهم نسنع أوفوسي قبل لهم ناي ببزلو وبتتريو زلوهم نعو يمسفوس بفلاي قلنا تينا autism فولي كنينا همزيلو قلت قدامي تا behavioral تبهل بزيادة خد تعشو كت مهرية مالتي. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the most common treatment of autism is applied behavior analysis. So this is that behavioral approach. Research on ABA has been done through decades, and it is widely known in the United States. I'll go into more in the next slide.
أتي أقدمه أتي كوهاب زخل مرهانيت وي treatment تندير اعتناني راح حجي كابهم most popular فلوت زخانة خاني ABAU Applied Behavior Analysis مالتيو بزعبا Applied Behavior Analysis أبتزقت اللي كتنقرنا حجيقن السو like بزوح استفلت نا more research way evidence based comes along نجيراتنا yeah.
Okay, so what is ABA? It's the most common treatment, applied behavior analysis. It's evidence-based. We focus on behavior change. So we observe why behavior occurs. We look at environmental factors, and then we use some strategies such as prompting and reinforcement.
Make sure that I have the same slide. Entire ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis مالتيو. Abti Kandi is a treatment apt night هتان ways of behavior. Atokiro miri مالتيو بزي متبع like reinforcement مالتي prompting بمحجاز apt natural environment كوين كام ممهر زجبر treatment مالتي.
So what is the goal of ABA? The goal of ABA is to help an individual learn functional communication, develop meaningful social relationships, and minimize inappropriate behaviors. So you can see that the goals of ABA align directly with the deficits of autism.
Should turn ABA انتايو سلست ذهبتهم حسب ملوات functional communication مالتي حسب ملوات تمهرو ترجم زلو محبراوي محزنة معبال زي قبوت أويات من أعس so iti ناتو treatmency ناتو deficit نمتكا يزقبر.
So what is the most common strategy of applied behavior analysis? The main strategy is positive reinforcement. So we want to add something to the environment to increase behavior. So it could look like praise, rewards, incentives.
And the strategy ናይ ABA ኣወንታዊ ምድልዳልዩ ጠባይካ ምእንቲ ከይትዛይድ ኣብ ከባቢ ተወስኽ ኣብቲ ናትካ environment ዝውሰኽ ነገራት ነቲ for example ዝኾነ ጠባይ ናይቲ ሓደ ቆልዓ እንድሕን ከተዕብዮ ደሊኻ ነቲ ናቶም environment ምውሳኽ ማለት እዩ ኣብኡ ንኽርአ and ካልእ ዝግበር ኣብ ABA ከዓኒ praise reward incentive ኢላሃና like ዝኾነ ንዖም ከተባብዖም ዝኽእል ነገራት ምውሳኽ ማለት እዩ እቲ ኣዲና environment.
So how do you use positive reinforcement? You want to continuously catch your child doing the right thing, whether it's following through with the demand, being polite, accepting change, and then you want to immediately let them know that he is doing well.
ከመይ ጌርካ positive reinforcement ትጥቀም ምውዳስ እቲ ምውዳስ ኢልና ዝገለጽና ዓንት ወይ መዳላደሊ ናይ ዝኾነ ቀጻሊ ክትሪኦ ትደሊ ጠባያት ክገብርዎ ከለዉ ሻዕ ክትሕዞም ኣለካ እንድሕን ዘይበኣስሎ ወይ ቃላቶም ይጥቀምሎ ኣብ ከንዲ ምባኣስ ዋው ብጣዕሚ ጽቡቕ ጌርካ ንፉዕ ዝወደይ like እቲ ዝገብሮ ነገር ሲ ኩሉ ግዜ ኣድሚቕካ ክትሪኦ ኣለካ.
So why use this strategy of positive reinforcement? We know in our science that behavior is closely related to the consequences it produces. So behaviors that are reinforced are likely to continue and maybe even continue at a higher frequency than before.
ስለምንታይ positive reinforcement ንጥቀም ጠባይ ምሳዕ ቤን ኣጸቢቑ ይተኣሳሰር እዩ እቲ ዘደልል ጠባያት ካብ ቅድሚ ሕጂ ብዝያዳ ብተደጋጋሚ ክቕጽል ሕሉፍ እዋን ክቕጽል ስለ ዝኽእል so ዝኾነ ነቲ እስኻ ክትሪኦ ትደሊ behavior reinforce ተጌርካዮ መሊሱ ስለ ዝቕጽል ብኸምኡ ኢና positive reinforcement ንጥቀም.
So here are some quick examples. Now, you're not going to learn all of ABA in one slideshow, but you can definitely get some strategies. So for example, if you want to increase completing a task, so I gave my child the task of fold your clothes and put them away. If Allie completes this task independently and without any undesirable behaviors, then I'm going to tell her exactly what she did right. Awesome job folding the clothes and putting them neatly in your dresser. And then I might reinforce her with a desirable item. So maybe I give her a little extra iPad time, or I give her a snack, or I just give her extra love. That's one example. Another example, let's say you want to increase social interactions with her siblings. So you're listening to Allie interact with her siblings. If Allie uses language that you like, maybe she offers help to her brother, then you want to quickly jump in and tell her exactly what you liked. Nice job playing well together. You guys are playing so well. Then surprise her with something occasionally. Hey, can I join your game too? Maybe you guys can have extra 5 minutes of, a free activity before bedtime because you guys played so well today.
Okay, that one's long.
Sorry.
እቲ ክትሪኦ ደሊ ጠባይ ኢንክሪስ ክትገብሮ ተደሊኻ ንኣብነት ንወድኻ ወይ ንጓልካ ክዳንኩም ዕፀፍዎ ክዳንካ ዓፂፍካ ኣቐምጦ እንተልካዮ ክዳኑ ዓፂፉ ምስ ኣቐመጦ ሸዓ ንሸዓ ብጣዕሚ ንፉዕ ዝወደይ ጽቡቕ ጌርካ ከመይ ኣተዓፃፅፍኻ ክዳንካ ፈተዮ like praise specific ነቲ ዝገበሮስ like ከም ዘሎ ክትህቦ ኣለካ ጽቡቕ ጌርካ ዓፂፍካዮ ጽቡቕ ጌርካ ኣቐሚጥካዮ ንፉዕ ብጣዕሚ ንፉዕ ሽዑ እቲ ካልእ ግዜ كدانو عاطيفو سلازا قمطو reinforcement كا سلازا هابكايو كومو كقصل يو مالتي كال ابنت زهابتو هاني تاغوالا اندحن مس حواتا صبو بكيتبعاست زهونه حماق طبيعت كير ايت بቋንቋ እንዳተጠቀመት ክትፃወት ተሪኣታ ብጣዕሚ ንፍዕቲ ጽቡቕ ጌርኪ ኢላ ንዑ ፕሬስ ትገብሮ ሽዑሃ ሜቢ ምስኦም ትፃወት እቲ ሶም ዝፈትዎ ትህቦም ሶቶም ቆልዑት ይፈልጡ ኣለዎ ማለት እዩ ኦ እዚኣ ተጌረስ ከምዚ ፕሬዝ ይውሃብ እዚኣ ተጌረስ ዝፈትዎ ነገር ይውሃብ እዚኣ ተጌረስ ኣደይ ትሕጎስ እያ ሶ እቲ ቢሄቪየር ሞር ላይክሊ ክቕፅል እዩ
Okay, so where can you find support? There are many, many organizations that support families and individuals with autism. Just to throw out a few, the American Academy of Pediatrics, Autism Society, Autism Speaks, Autism Science Foundation, National Autism Society. A lot of the content from this presentation also came from the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
حاجز autism أبي كتركب تخيل زوم كلهم تقيساتهم زلوا اسمات ناي organization يو so maybe Google كتقبرهم تخيلهم هذا زي وسخطع أنتو mentions قبر كوغن Autism Center of Northern California أب سان فرانسيسكو زركوالو نسوم اتي initial diagnosis ناي autism يهو هايم ناتهم specifically ADAS بهال assessment لهم so زخانة تتعرض أورو جلسة كفتات تلكم أو هكذا تخليهم non-profit organization ميم سوم كان.
Okay, some takeaways. So autism doesn't have to be as scary as it may seem. Track your child's development. If you're concerned, talk to your doctor, get a formal diagnosis. That's going to allow you to have access to treatment. Find a support group. Success really depends on so many factors, just like any child. You can make a difference. And then lastly, just try to find some joy in the diverse world that we live in.
Okay. Autism تفرح يبدون أي جبؤني وقعوي مرمر مقبار حاجز نمركاب زي حجز ناي مجمر تاس قمت خوني خالي ولدها أسلت أو كرهو زخ اللتع كمتين زخانة يكون so anyways بوتاتات حاجز كترهو اللي تخلو بوتاتات إناتكم community خد قبرو تخليهم أتي والعاها أني تاب كالوت فلي زبالة مهانوس maybe كلها أنا حدا يكونن كلها أنا حدا ممكن كونين نخلي ناسولاتهم فلينت كحرقكم ويكت حساسبكم يقولون بتزلهم وخاني محاجو سرقهم أتبدلهم.
All right, here are some references. And then if anybody has any questions, let us know.
reference هيباتنا زهون حتى دات لكم كا اللهم تعلم. Thank you, Holly. That was really good. It was amazing.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Holly. I have a couple of questions. I'll start with the kind of the basic one. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I'll translate it into Guineas before you start answering so people understand. But in this country, obviously in the US, kids are raised in bilingual family. So there is a definite delay in speech that we see in most children. Or sometimes we don't know which language they're preferring, whether it's English or Tigrinya or a mother tongue. So there may be times when a parent may not quite see the delay. So how do we distinguish? Let's say I have a 12-month-old baby who is not uttering what we expect, or at least not at the milestones. How should a mom what should it be? You know, because some of the milestones may not quite fit in a bilingual family. And eventually some of those kids which we might think they're delayed may not be really delayed. But how long do you wait? How long should a parent wait before they bring it to the attention of the pediatrician?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I actually come across this a lot. We work with a lot of families that are bilingual. I think
let me just say it in Tigrinya. First, no, حتى زل حتوسي أب زلنا وتأي زلوا قلعت كلتا أبتي فاميلي كلتا أقوى زرب على وي أب أمريكا تلنا إنجليزيان تقولين زارو أب تستدرا مالتيو حارق زيتهم قلعت أب سالي قرب دحركم نقولوا سمتاي تحرك أنقها فلاليو بزي وصل لهم حمد جن أب معاسينا أستطلت ورحز ميزو قل عاسني معاسي نتز عن دونجيلك تشجرة كحص وي كتارات أرزق المهان حاجة حاسس إزازة. Go ahead.
Okay. So I would say I wouldn't wait. If you have any concerns at all, I would go ahead and talk to your doctor and open that conversation. You know, maybe nothing comes of it, but maybe something does. And if you get early intervention, the science actually says the earlier you can get in and intervene, then the less likely they'll show those symptoms later on in life. So the diagnosis of autism may not fall off, but they may not need any support later in life. So Sina can probably speak on this too, because she's worked with a lot of families in California. So Sina, do you want to chime in?
No, I think you answered perfectly. Come to the like زهونة كتريو زهونة زت أراد أراكم behavior كتريو تجميركم شعون بدكتور مخاد حاجازيو جن أبتي نايك وانك كلتا وانك مزراب بزح مساعات زم زرحة يقولون like كلتا وانك أصل الزرابو نعرفهم يدونجيو ويقلتفيو زبل research كسافجي أنا لنا like نحن أتزام لومسي ولا بزيتو وانك أصل كفلتي خيلي.
كوس خلادو أنا حسب أساسنا أنت قالك مش قلعت بتفترة دونجيوم زربا زي جمهورو ألويو حجي I think دكتور أستير مسؤيات بلونيرا مثلني دونجيوم زي جمهورو ألو جن أوتيزم مالت أيقونة حجي اسمع سينا خن الشاغل نجمر يا مثلني تحته
أو حقا يعني نسوقنا like speech development قالت إذا خيد زلو مالتي speech delay تلو مساعات زون أي راح أخبرلوني so عندهن عبتي كزاربو زقبهم جزء زي زاربو زلو ناي speech therapist كهودي يقول يوم مالتي.
Okay, so nothing.
Yeah, she was asking like, what if they're just delayed in speech, but they don't necessarily have autism?
Yeah, a lot of the times doctors will start you out with speech language therapy. And then if it persists over time that there's still delays, then they look a little bit further to see, okay, are there other things going on?
مجمرتا دكتور ناي توم حكايم ناي speech therapy treatment يوم كإزوزلكا نا كأون واتسا انتو خوينو شو further diagnosis يقوبرو ناي autism تبلعلهم.
السبيتش مالت حجي اتي نايم الزراب therapy fully مالتي.
Oh, speech therapy. She just asked me speech therapy. What is speech therapy? And
yeah, so I'm just saying speech نتي تقرنيا إنجليزي ردوتا speech سي أبتناي قانقا مهانا.
Yes. ناي قانقا therapy بتقرنيا نتايز بحال.
نبزح تسب فلتاي therapy.
Therapy, yeah. ناي قانقا therapy.
أنا كل تحته ألواني حنتي خالي prevalence حنت قال 4 ودات إيو إلى تنانيرة أمولو عالم دي is it worldwide the prevalence 1 girl in 4 boys and is there any difference in socioeconomic differences or different socioeconomic background? And my second question is the support system. Is there any international support system for autism, especially in Africa? Is there, you know, Eritreans, we have a lot of refugees, we have a lot of Eritreans that live in, you know, in Africa and elsewhere who don't have quite good access to, like in the US, you know, access to healthcare. So is there any support system? And if there is, if we could get the link and we'll share it on our website and so on. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So the prevalence of autism, I'm not sure if I heard the question all the way, but yes, it is more prevalent in males versus females. They haven't found a difference across ethnic groups or socioeconomic groups from the data of the CDC guidelines. Your question about supports across the world, I actually don't have that knowledge, so I'm not sure. We could ask around and get back to you guys.
Translation የድልያዲዚ ወይስ ብዛዕባ ናይ prevalence ኣብ ናይ ደቅ ፍልሊ ኣብ ደቅ ተባዕትዮን ኣብ ደቅ ኣንስትዮን ዘሎ ናይ autism diagnosis ያ ክትዛረብ ፀኒሓ ከምቲ ዓንቲ ወይ ዝበለቶ ኣብ ደቅ ተባዕትዮ more autism ንሱ ከዓኒ I think እቲ ኣብ ደቅ ኣንስትዮ ማስክ ይኸውን እዩ እቲ ጠባያት ምስቲ society ስለ ዝመሳሰል أدميوس أيرن أبدك تبعتيه وين أدميو يري and حاجز على ديو international حاجز ناي autism إلى حتى دكتور إلسا جن حالي زفت ويبلين حجي جن research جرنا نبركم.
So Holly, another question is. You talked about the applied behavioral analysis, and you said that positive reinforcement is how you change the behavior. So what if you have so you're going to focus on you catch them on when they're doing something positive and reinforce that so you can expand and build up on it. So is that the way you actually try to get away from the negative behavior that you're trying to change? For example, the repetitive movement or this, you know, something that they do is by building up on other things, or how do you get them not to do the, you know, behaviors that you think are potentially going to interfere with their social interactions?
Yeah, so I could speak on this with you for another 5 days. So applied behavior analysis is where I practice with kids with autism. So positive reinforcement is our main strategy, right? But it's not our only strategy. So it is much more complicated than just telling someone good job. That is definitely a starting point and does increase desirable behaviors. When you're wanting to knock down some of those undesirable behaviors, so maybe like tantrum behavior, or let's say I have a client right now that is biting their sibling, what we try to do is try to teach replacement behaviors. So because communication is poor, their way of communicating, right, that I don't want to do this, and this kid in particular is biting sister. he doesn't know this for him. He doesn't want to do it. He's biting sister. That's his way of communicating. So how do we teach a replacement behavior, right? How do we find something that is appropriate that still communicates to the other person that he doesn't want to do it, right? So for this kid in particular, we're teaching an alternative strategy of touching a stop sign. So we have a visual stop sign that now he doesn't have to bite sister to get out of the activity. He just has to tell us stop. He can't verbally tell us stop because he doesn't have that in his repertoire, but he can touch a card that says stop. Now, this is a little, complex, right? There's so many things that go into it. We have to teach him that touching the stop sign gets him out of the activity, right? That's not something that we would automatically think that he would know how to do. So repetition, positive reinforcement towards the replacement behavior is super helpful. Like I said, every situation is different. We could talk forever on this.
Yeah. So another question is, how about the impact on the siblings? Because if we have, for example, one of the oldest child is one with autism, how do you educate and include the other siblings or children, if you're the parent, in this change of behavior, or just living with, with autism or autistic sibling? How I can, because I see a lot of, young kids, and I guess both emotionally and time with parents and all those things, it affects them. So can you just comment on that?
Yeah, sure. It definitely impacts the entire family. I think you're absolutely right there. I think you can teach siblings how to interact too. For example, like if, let's say, you want them to have a good relationship, siblings, you may have them join in certain things where that there's no harm, everybody's safe, right? You teach them what you would want, how you would want them to try to communicate. So if the child has no sign language, great, let's teach siblings some sign language too, so that they can have that relationship. Try your best to interact and to have them integrated in your day-to-day activities.
Yeah, and I would say that, like, for ABA, parent training is also really huge. So it's not just about the child with autism, it's also about the family. So we do a lot of parent training as well, to teach the parents how to interact with their children and the siblings how to interact with their siblings.
Absolutely.
Translate Gabriel.
Sorry, I forgot.
تحتون تعمل
okay, earlier you asked تحتيتا بجاكا positive reinforcement كالي انتاي strategy كنتقام نخيل positive reinforcement كاندي ناي autism ناي applied behavior analysis مسرح نديو جن بجاكو خاني behavior replacement زبهار تكنيكالو نتي كتريو تدلت أباي بتي نتي كتريو زي تدلت أباي تتكو مالتي نعرفت حدو قلعان حاو بايت زقبر زينا خصون تخوينو نتا behavior نتا منكاس behavior نختلو وطا كال تقبرلو so هالي انتاي تبلنيرا كم example زخونة أب ورقة صحيفهم stop زبل صحف جيروملو مالتي so تقلع كابت activity كوت تدليو ككندن حافتو زنخصة نتا stop تبل sign يتو يحزاما يتنكفا مالتي كالا عبنت نحن حادو قلعا like بزح زخونة متعاتي دي قال أب عينو قلتفهم قصة أصلو حدا تكنيك تقام تخيل مست behavior زي كايد مالتيو إلكات أقعيو إدوم تتقعيهم كم زخجوري كلنيهم so إلكات أقعيو تبلو وي رأسها حزو وي كال نجارات مسؤول زي ما أساس behavior كم زجبر تجبرهم مش حدا تكنيك خاني خالي I think تا كال إيتي حتى زحت تتخاني كم يجرناس مس درابيت مس حواتهم توم sibling نايتهم قلعت autism زلهم وي family نايتهم قلعت autism زلهم كم يجرهم communicate تجبروا وي interact تجبروا because نعم ولا سلا زتن كفوم تي autism هلا ونحاوم ديونا يودهم نسوخ عني parent training نتهم ولدي زملكة training ك ABA كم زهب عندنا خاني نتهم قلعون أبتنايتهم session include كتجبرهم كم تخيل قليت أمانتي. Sorry, that was long.
Thank you guys for the questions.
Another question. I'm asking these questions because I see it in the community, so it's really going to be helpful. So instances where you have autistic child walking into an event, family event, a social event, where the autistic child has certain behaviors that they do, and I think sometimes the other people attending the event may not be aware. So sometimes there is kind of that negative connotation because they don't quite understand. So how do you deal with it, both whether it's in a classroom or let's say a child is going to a movie theater or a birthday party, and that child is not interacting, or the behavior isn't what the others expect. How do you kind of, how do you educate other parents without autistic children to behave around these kids with autism? بالتقرنيا هنا حتى إزدي عزب لازر لخصي تي autism زرلون قلت أبتناي محبران أبراك كنسدرهم كهدخلوسي بتخال أبتي قداي زرلو هذا الجزء ليتتبعوا تريوتات نايتو قلت ماني كم يجرنا أنا كنمهار كنراد نزلنا مالك يونتي كم يجرنا نتي قلعة سمتى أخو مزقبر زرلو انتهى خلنا إحنا نكبر زبل سوخن سمعينا. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's extremely difficult. Honestly, I think this is a really good step, just educating people about autism. Earlier in the slides, I mentioned sometimes kiddos with autism don't look any different. So you have no idea that they have autism. Which makes it even harder, right? When you're at the grocery store, at a birthday party, and your kiddo's acting up, try though your best just to, you're the one involved in the situation. So how you handle it is how other people are going to see it, right? So have this conversation with other people about autism. If it's your child with autism, it's up to you if you want to disclose to others, hey, my child has autism. If you feel like that it better explains their behavior, that's absolutely acceptable.
Yeah. مسينا يتحدث كفيديو مهنياتو كم تعنتو يزبالتو آتزم زلو قلعت مسكالوت قلعت زفاليوم يبلوم بدقاوي تريتهم مالتيو سلازي أبزخون نايما حبراو نقرات واتسهم قالخون لهم هم من دهن فلي زبالة أواي قلريهم سوات زي كردوا خليهم جن ولا كم زلوم آتزم كم زلوم تناجركم استو حدا نقر كتقبروا تخليهم وين just نتهم سوات بزعوا آتزم كتمهروهم تخليهم just نتي to conditions more normalized كنقبرهم زلنا أبتناتنا ما حبرتسب يا كتبت أنا
So one last question. I think it's more comment than question, but just in general, as you said, autism is something that a lot of parents fear, and for some it may be embarrassment when they see it, but doing the best that you can in early diagnosis and early intervention is best. But that the fear is what is going to happen to my child as they grow up, in terms of skills, work skills, life, independence, and all those things that parents may, we all as parents have dreams of what our kids we hope to be, but when you have a child with autism, depending where they fall in the spectrum, the earlier intervention, the better, clearly. But should we just, is there help all along into adulthood for these kids?
Yes, really great question. And absolutely, that is every parent that I walk into their home, that is their biggest fear. What is going to happen to my child? And it's a real fear. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The early intervention is best. There are services through adulthood, which is really great. I will say we need more services through adulthood. So I think we're pretty good right now with that early intervention, the applied behavior analysis, and there's definitely support for adulthoods. But in my experience, we need more support through adulthood.
ሶሲና ወዲያ ከለኸ ትግርኛ ትስተርጉምያ?
እታ ሕቶ እንደ ዓበዩ ክኸዱ ከለውስ still ሓገዝ ክንረኽቦ ንኽእል ኣሎ ድዩ ኣኔራ? and እቲ መልሲ ከዓኒ እወ ኣሎ ሓገዝ ግን እኹል ኣይኮነን ኢላ ሃሊ ክውስኸላ ንሃሊ ከዓኒ በቲ ትጥቀምሉ ኢንሹራንስ like BHPN ድዩ ቢከን ድዩ regional center ድዩ ዝኾነ ገሊኦም ኣለው like 18 ምስ ገበሩ ደው የብልዎ እዮም ግን ካልኦት ኣለው like regional center ሕጂ ዋላ ዓብዮም ከሎ ክሳብ 25 ገለ ኢንሹራንስ ክረኽቡ ኢንሹራንስ ኣለዎም እዚ ማለት ከዓ AVA services ኣብ ገዝኦም ክረኽቡ ይኽእሉ እዮም ማለት እዩ yeah so I just added about like the different insurances and how even after they turn 18 they can receive services through some insurances.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Holly. This was so helpful and we appreciate you for your time. You're amazing. Holly Hani, she's BC board certified behavior analysis. ኣብዚ ፊልድ ብዙሕ ሰሪሐ ምስ ካልኦት ህፃናት ክሰርሕ ክሪኣ ከሎ ኩሉ ትገብሮ ነገር በቃ ብፍቕሪ ብተገዳስነት ትገብሮ. I just explained that you do everything with so much love and passion and I appreciate you for that.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me. And if you need anything else, talk to Sosina. She knows where to find me. Ask any questions. Totally fine.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Sosina. It was very interesting and excellent. We appreciate it.
Guys, have a great day.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Sosina, for your time. We will keep in touch with you, Holly, and for sure we will need some of your expertise even in the future if we plan to do awareness for communities, things like that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. يغنيلنا كبرات تخاتاتلتي مدب إريتراويان سمويات عنا نيلو معند بروغرامنا أبزن ود بخال أرستي سقع نراخب أبدحراي قزي بسلام كأنيو. Thank you. يغنيلنا.